Picture this. It is 6 in the morning. It's your very first day in the house with your brand new Pembroke Welsh Corgi puppy.
Oh boy, the first day.
Right. So you are barely awake, making your way across the kitchen tile, and suddenly the puppy just locks onto your ankles.
Like a heat-seeking missile.
Exactly. Not in an aggressive way, but just totally zeroed in. Then a kid runs past on their way to grab some cereal, and that is it. The puppy is off. Those tiny, short little legs are pumping. It's letting out this sharp bark, just relentlessly chasing the motion across the room.
It is a scene that plays out in, nearly every Corgi household on day one.
I bet. But then mid-chase, it just stops, dead in its tracks. It is completely obsessed with sniffing like a random crumb on the floor.
Yeah, totally distracted.
Right. Nothing else in the world exists. A minute later, it's chewing on the corner of your rug.
Oh, wow.
And then, genuinely, within 10 minutes of all this absolute chaos, it is fast asleep on the floor.
Just completely out cold.
Practically mid-motion. I was reading through our sources for this deep dive, and it struck me. This puppy is essentially a faulty wind-up toy.
That's a brilliant way to put it, actually.
You get these massive bursts of intense, hyper-focused energy, and then an abrupt, total system crash.
That wind-up toy visual really captures the internal reality of what's happening. And what we have to keep in mind, and this is a recurring theme in the source material we're looking at today, is that none of what you just described is naughty behavior.
Right. It's not them being bad.
Exactly. Our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the core paradox of the Pembroke Welsh Corgi puppy.
Which is quite the paradox.
It really is. You're dealing with a deeply ingrained working instinct, a massive appetite, and an intense curiosity. But all of that high-powered hardware is trapped inside a completely underdeveloped nervous system.
And a very unique, low-set body, too.
Yes, exactly.
Which really sets the stakes for you, the listener. Our goal today is to help you navigate this critical first year.
Because it is a lot to handle.
It is. We need to figure out how you go about shaping this incredibly fast-learning, herding brain, and how you protect a developing physical body without doing two specific things.
Right, the two big traps.
Yeah. You don't want to overprotect the dog to the point of isolation, but you also absolutely cannot let its working instincts completely run your household.
It is a really delicate balance between respecting their genetics and teaching them how to exist in a modern human environment without, losing their minds.
Okay, so let's unpack this. To manage that crazy 6 a.m. kitchen chaos, we actually have to rewind to before the puppy even steps foot in your house.
The prep work.
The prep work. The sources talk a lot about puppy proofing, which we all know is a thing. But looking at these lists, stair barriers, specific safe zones, aggressively protecting power cords, it seems like this breed is uniquely determined to dismantle a house.
They do have a special talent for it, yeah. If we look at the mechanics of how Pembrokes investigate their environment, they experience the world almost entirely through their mouths.
Right, everything goes in the mouth.
Yep. And their motion tracking vision. Plus, they are relentless hunters for draft food.
They will find that one piece of cereal.
Oh, absolutely. And because of their low clearance and that kind of torpedo-like shape, they will wedge themselves into tiny hidden gaps under furniture or behind cabinets that you didn't even realize were puppy-sized.
Wow. So the intense baby gating isn't just to keep them out of trouble, it's to actually manage their natural investigative drive.
Yes, exactly. The goal is psychological. You want to set up the environment so that the right choice is the easiest one for the puppy to make.
Make it foolproof.
Right. If they cannot physically reach the power cords behind the TV, they can't practice the behavior of chewing on them.
That makes a lot of sense. So, okay, you have the house locked down. Now, let's talk about arrival day.
The big day.
I read through this section, and the sources bring up a very human urge, right? You get this adorable new puppy, and you want to show it off.
Of course you do.
You want the family over, you want to take it to the park. But our materials actively advise against this. They say the first few days should be purposefully, intentionally boring.
Boring is the exact right word, and it is incredibly hard for new owners to do.
Because it feels like you're missing out on the fun.
Exactly. But think about it from the puppy's internal processing perspective. They are downloading a staggering amount of sensory data. Everything is alien.
Just a totally new world.
Right. New smells, a completely different water taste, a new toilet routine, and entirely new giant humans. If you bring in a massive gathering of extended family...
Oh man, that's just too much.
It is. You are flooding a nervous system that is already running at maximum capacity.
So you are basically blowing their internal fuses on day one.
Pretty much, yeah. Your primary job in those first 48 hours is to teach the dog that the environment is safe and predictable. You cannot build that trust if you're constantly overwhelming them with stimuli.
So escape the welcome party. Got it. But while things are boring, you do have some homework. The sources outline this intense data gathering you need to do from day one.
The paperwork.
Yeah, the paperwork. You need the breeder or rescue info, microchip details, vaccine history. And they mention breeders often screen for specific things. Hips, eyes, von Willebrand disease, and the risk for degenerative myelopathy.
That's a mouthful.
It is. And I have to admit, those last two sound terrifying. What exactly are we looking at there?
Let's break those down because they are pretty common in the breed. Von Willebrand disease is essentially a bleeding disorder.
Okay.
It means the dog's blood might not clot properly if they get injured or have surgery. Degenerative myelopathy, or DM, is a progressive spinal condition that affects their hind legs later in life.
So if a puppy has a genetic marker for these, is that a guarantee they are going to get sick?
Well, no, and that raises a crucial point about how we interpret medical data. A genetic result on a piece of paper is not a diagnosis.
Oh, interesting.
Right. It's just a data point. You take all of those records and you use them to establish a baseline at that crucial first vet visit. Your vet will combine that genetic screening with a physical exam to create a tailored care plan.
So it's about being prepared, not panicked.
Exactly.
Okay, so once you have the environment secured and your medical baseline set, a puppy's daily behavior is heavily dictated by two foundational things: the fuel they take in and how they filter the world through sleep.
Food and rest. If those are out of balance, everything else falls apart.
So let's start with rest, because there's this incredibly confusing puppy behavior the sources call the overtired illusion.
Yes.
Now, for me, when I'm tired, I slow down, I yawn, I go to sleep. But apparently an overtired corgi does the exact opposite.
They do. When a puppy is overtired, their nervous system gets hyper-aroused.
I was reading this, and it honestly reminded me of a smartphone with a bloated CPU.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Yeah, it's like when a computer gets overloaded with too many open tabs. It doesn't just quietly turn off. The fan starts spinning violently, the screen freezes, and the whole system runs incredibly hot until you are forced to just hold down the power button and force quit.
That is a highly accurate way to look at it.
Yeah.
Instead of settling down, you're going to see frantic biting, obsessive chasing, and general frustration.
Which is so confusing as an owner.
Totally. And the trap here is that owners think, oh, the puppy has so much energy, I need to keep playing with it to tire it out.
Which just makes the fan spin faster.
Yes. You must enforce a predictable routine. They need undisturbed sleep in a quiet place, like a crate, completely away from running kids or household chaos.
Easier said than done, I bet.
Oh, for sure. And to build on that, we have to acknowledge the emotional toll this takes on you, the owner.
The guilt.
Yeah. When that puppy is screaming in its crate at 8 p.m. because it doesn't want to sleep, your human instinct is going to tell you that you are a bad owner who is abandoning your dog.
The crate guilt is so real.
It is very real. You have to actively fight your own guilt and realize that forcing them to rest and reboot their system is an act of deep care.
Okay, so that's the sleep filter. Now let's talk about the fuel. Diet.
Right.
Pembroke's, as a rule, will work incredibly hard for food. The sources note this makes them fantastic for things like recall and toilet training. But there's a major vulnerability here.
Always a catch.
The sources specifically warn about what happens when grandma sneaks a treat, the kids drop some cheese, you give a training treat, and suddenly the dog is massively overfed.
Weight management in a Pembroke is critical because of their architecture. Their spine is long and unsupported.
Right, they're built like little sausages.
Exactly. And even 1 extra pound of fat puts immense mechanical stress on their back. The goal for their growth is steady, measured, and slow.
On that note, the sources gave a very specific warning about supplements. People love to bulk up their dogs, maybe give them calcium to build strong bones. Why is that a bad idea?
Because more is not better when it comes to skeletal mechanics. Commercial puppy diets are mathematically formulated to have a very specific calcium to phosphorus ratio.
Okay.
If you start dumping extra calcium into the bowl, you disrupt that ratio. The body can't process it correctly, which can actually cause the bones to grow at uneven rates and lead to permanent skeletal deformities.
Wow. Okay, so stick to the kibble. And because of their shape, the sources say you can't just eyeball a corgi to see if it's getting fat.
You absolutely cannot. Their compact frame and the thick double coat acts like an optical illusion. You have to physically put your hands on the dog and feel for their ribs and their waistline regularly.
And a quick side note from the materials. Because they love food so much, some are incredibly fast eaters.
Oh, they will inhale it.
Right.
Yeah.
If your puppy is gulping food so fast they vomit, or if they show signs of distress or start growling when you approach their bowl, that requires active intervention with slow feeders or training. It's not something they just outgrow.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And speaking of food processing, we inevitably arrive at toilet training. The sources lay down a fundamental psychological rule here.
Oh, this is important.
Reward the success, never punish the accidents.
Right. Because the classic mistake is yelling at the dog when you find a puddle in the kitchen.
Right. But when you punish an accident, the dog doesn't connect your anger to the act of peeing inside. They connect your anger to the act of peeing in front of you.
Oh, wow. So they just think, don't pee when the human is looking.
Exactly. It only teaches the puppy to fear eliminating in your presence.
So you just end up finding secret puddles behind the sofa, and they totally refuse to go outside when you take them on a walk.
Yes, because they're terrified. You'll get mad if they let go. And another crucial mechanical point here. If you have a puppy that was reliably toilet trained and they suddenly regress and start having accidents,
Right.
that is a major red flag. It usually points to a physical issue, like a urinary tract infection. It is not them deciding to be stubborn.
That's a huge tip. So we've established how they process fuel and how they use their mouths to try and control their environment, which brings us back to that 6 a.m. ankle-biting phenomenon.
To land sharks.
Yes. Moving feet literally activate this dog. Are they just teething, or what is happening?
Well, I mean, teething is a factor, but what you are really experiencing in your kitchen is centuries of ancestry.
The genetics kicking in.
Right. It is developmentally completely normal for a herding breed to track and attempt to control motion.
Because they were bred to move cattle by nipping at their heels. So how do we stop it without, breaking their spirit?
You have to interrupt the biomechanics of the chase. You must stop your movement immediately.
Because the movement triggers the prey drive.
Yes. Freeze, then redirect the puppy's mouth to an appropriate toy, and heavily reward the dog the second it orients back to you, the human, instead of your moving feet.
And the sources are incredibly strict about what not to do here. Out of pure frustration, some people might try to hold the puppy's mouth shut or, tap them on the nose.
I cannot emphasize this enough. Physical intimidation does not teach bite control. You are dealing with a working breed that was designed to take a kick from a cow and keep going.
A nose tap is nothing to them.
Exactly. If you use physical force, you will either create a deeply fearful dog or a dog that decides the best defense is to fight back.
Neither of which you want in your house. So what about theft? Let's say the puppy steals your TV remote or your favorite shoe and takes off running.
The absolute golden rule of engagement here is do not chase them.
But they have my shoe. My instinct is to sprint after them and grab it.
I know, it's so hard. But the moment you run after them, you have just initiated the greatest game of their entire day.
Oh, right. It's a game to them.
You have rewarded the theft with a high-speed pursuit. Instead, you must teach the mechanics of a calm trade. Grab a high-value treat, like a piece of chicken, walk calmly toward them, and offer it in exchange for the shoe.
That's so smart. And a very important caveat from the sources here. If they swallow something truly dangerous, do not try to induce vomiting yourself with hydrogen peroxide or salt. Call the vet immediately.
Always call the vet.
Okay, so when they can't reach you physically with their teeth, they resort to their other long-range weapon, their bark.
Oh, yes. The corgi bark.
The sources say you can actually figure out the function of the dog's bark just by listening.
Yes, and this requires you to be an active observer. A bark is not just a bark. Think of it like a farm dog patrolling its perimeter.
Okay.
They have alerting barks for things outside, barks of excitement, frustration, fear, and the classic demand, bark for attention.
So if they are sitting at the window barking at every single leaf that blows by, how do we handle that?
You manage the environment. If the window triggers the perimeter patrol instinct, block their visual access to the front window.
Just close the curtains.
Pull the blinds down, use privacy film, whatever works. But the most important rule across the board is never, ever reward demand barking.
Right.
If they are barking at you to throw a toy and you throw it to make them quiet, you have just trained them that barking controls your behavior.
You essentially just surrendered to their demands.
Pretty much.
And speaking of how closely they monitor you, this brings up a very surprising vulnerability in the breed. The sources say separation anxiety is a major risk for Pembrokes. I have to admit, I wouldn't think a tough little cattle dog would get separation anxiety.
It's actually precisely because they are a working dog that they suffer from it. They have a deep-seated flock mentality.
Ah, keeping the herd together.
Exactly. Their instinct is to keep their people together so they can monitor everything. When the flock splits up and you leave the house, the dog panics because it can no longer do its job.
That makes total sense when you frame it that way.
So you have to start independence training early, give them safe spaces, give them high-value stuffed chews when you leave, and keep your departures incredibly neutral. No big emotional goodbyes.
No baby talk as you walk out the door.
Right. And look out for the severe signs of distress. If your dog is pacing endlessly, drooling heavily, or refusing to eat their absolute favorite treats when you are gone, that isn't just a dog missing you.
That's a real panic attack.
Yes, that is severe panic that requires real behavioral support.
We keep talking about their working dog brain, but we have to look at the very specific low-set chassis that brain is driving around in. The sources call this the low-set paradox.
The physical illusion.
Right. A puppy corgi already looks like an adult. They have that long body, those short little legs, the big ears.
But the inside does not match the outside. While they have the outline of an adult dog, their skeletal system, their growth plates, their muscles, and their spatial judgment are completely immature.
Our sources point out a really specific hazard regarding their build that I found fascinating. Smooth floors.
Yes.
They say hardwood or tile actually knocks their physical confidence. Why does a smooth floor matter so much to a corgi?
It comes down to biomechanics. Because of their low center of gravity and short legs, they rely heavily on pushing off their powerful hindquarters for propulsion.
Right.
When they try to launch off smooth hardwood, they have no traction. Their back legs splay out sideways like Bambi on ice.
Which I imagine hurts.
It does. It can cause micro tears in their developing muscles, and psychologically, it makes them terrified to walk through that room. Rugs and runners are essential to give them grip.
Which brings us to the ultimate corgi question: stairs.
Ah, the stairs debate.
Looking at their spine, my instinct would be to just carry them up and down the stairs for the first year so they don't break their backs. Is that overprotecting them?
It is slightly overprotecting them, yes. The nuance here is important. Walking up one flight of carpeted stairs at a calm pace is not going to instantly ruin a puppy's back.
Okay, that's a relief.
The mechanical danger lies in uncontrolled, full-speed stair sprints happening several times a day. The impact of bouncing down stairs repeatedly is terrible for their joints. You have to manage access and teach a calm pace.
And the sources emphasize that when you do lift them, say to put them in a car, you have to support the entire body. You can't just grab them under the front armpits and hoist them up.
No, absolutely not.
You have to scoop the back end to keep the spine level.
And while you are getting used to handling their bodies, this is the exact time to start grooming prep, cooperative handling.
I'm really glad you brought this up. The sources say you need to prep them for nail trims, ear cleaning, and toothbrushing. But how do we actually do this without triggering that ankle-biting reflex we talked about earlier?
You break it down into micro steps. You don't just grab a paw and start clipping.
That sounds like a fast way to get bitten.
Oh, yeah. You touch the paw, you immediately give a high-value treat, and you let go. Then you gently lift the paw, treat, and let go.
So it's all about positive associations.
You are building a psychological association that having their feet handled predicts amazing food, rather than predicting a wrestling match. Do it when they are small and pliable. Trying to introduce a nail clipper to a fully grown, opinionated adolescent corgi who hasn't been prepped is an absolute nightmare.
So moving from the living room to the chaotic outside world, let's talk socialization. I read through the socialization notes and I was genuinely confused. Everything you see online on social media says you need to socialize puppies aggressively.
Right.
Like get them out there, take them to the dog park, introduce them to 50 dogs so they make friends. But our sources are actively advising against that.
We need to fundamentally redefine what socialization actually means. Socialization is not forced interaction.
Okay.
Throwing a puppy into a chaotic mob of adult dogs at a park is often terrifying for them, and it risks exposing an unvaccinated puppy to diseases like parvo.
So what is the goal if not making them the life of the party?
Neutrality. True socialization is teaching the puppy to observe the world and remain calm. It's teaching them to feel safe around different sounds, walking on different surfaces, and seeing vehicles or strangers go by without reacting.
So sitting on a park bench just watching traffic with a bag of treats is better than a dog park?
Infinitely better. If you want them to interact with other dogs safely, enroll in a sanitized, professionally run puppy class where the interactions are actually monitored.
What about the variables inside the house? The sources specifically highlight kids and cats. And for kids, they use this great phrase, Kids running and squealing act as a 5-alarm excitement trigger for a Pembroke.
Because it engages every single herding and prey instinct they possess.
Oh, that makes sense.
High-pitched noises and erratic movement mean, chase me. This is why adults must actively supervise. You cannot just leave a toddler and a corgi puppy to work it out. Kids need strict rules. Do not wake the sleeping dog, do not chase it, do not corner it.
What about cats? Can a herding dog and a cat actually be friends?
They can, but the golden rule is you must never let the puppy rehearse the chase.
Because it's too fun.
Exactly. If the puppy chases the cat once, the puppy's brain registers that as a massive rush of endorphins. It becomes incredibly fun, and you will have a lifelong problem. Use physical barriers, keep the puppy on a leash at first, and always ensure the cat has elevated spaces like shelves to escape to.
Okay, so you survive the puppy months, you think you're in the clear, and then, according to the materials, you hit the adolescent wall.
The dreaded teenage phase.
Suddenly, all your routines fail. The dog has an adult-sized body and adult stamina, but it still has zero puppy impulse control.
This is the phase where most owners feel like they are failing. And it is exactly the moment when you must double down on the basics. You have to reinforce their recall, insist on loose leash walking, and maintain boundaries.
But the sources give a really crucial final warning here. If a behavior suddenly changes, like they get really irritable, or they suddenly start having toilet accidents again, we shouldn't just assume it's teenager rebellion.
Exactly. Don't reach for stricter training when the answer might be a vet visit. A sudden behavioral shift is often a pain response.
Wow, okay.
It could be teething pain from molars coming in, it could be a hidden ear infection, or digestive discomfort. Always rule out physical pain before you assume your dog is just being stubborn.
So let's bring this all back. Let's close the loop and return to that 6 a.m. morning routine.
Full circle.
But this time you have the mechanical knowledge from this deep dive in your back pocket. So the morning goes differently.
Right.
The puppy goes for your moving feet, but you stop moving, breaking the prey drive. You redirect it to a toy. You reward it for choosing the toy.
Right.
You do a quick 5-minute training game with its breakfast kibble so it doesn't eat too fast. You take it outside, reward it for going to the bathroom, and then it goes into its crate with a rug underneath for traction and falls asleep while you fight off the crate guilt.
It is a completely different outcome, built on understanding the mechanics of the breed, rather than just reacting to them. And I think that leads us to a fascinating final thought for the listener to mull over.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We have to remember that for centuries, humans selectively bred these brilliant, low-set, sturdy dogs to boldly chase massive livestock. They were quite literally genetically designed to bite at the heels of 1,000-pound cattle, dodge flying hooves, and not back down.
They are tough, gritty working dogs in a really small package.
Yet today, we bring them into our carpeted living rooms and we expect them to seamlessly ignore running children, dropped food, and the mailman walking past the window. When a corgi puppy bites your ankle or barks at the fence, it's not misbehaving. It is doing exactly what humans designed its DNA to do.
So they aren't broken, they are just operating on old software.
Precisely. The real question isn't how to fix the dog. The question for you to explore as an owner is this: what's it truly mean to ask a working animal to negotiate a cross-species peace treaty in a modern home every single day?